Hey, pilot, welcome to Ready for Pushback. It's a solo show. Today's conversation is all about your logbook. It all started as a spark. Maybe it was the sound of jets racing across the sky, or the feeling of your heart racing as you watch a crop duster flying low and slow. Even then, you knew you were meant to fly. For pilots, it's more than just a job. It's a calling. The early mornings, the long hours, the relentless training, you didn't do it for the money. You did it for that moment when the wheels lift off and the earth falls away beneath you. But flying is just the beginning. The journey to your dream job takes more than just skill in the sky. It takes strategy on the ground and a lifetime of learning.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. Learn how to go from good to great, from flight school to regional to major, and from hopeful to hired. Whether you're sharpening your skills, building your resume, or preparing for that big interview, this is where pilots come to level up. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
A lot of you know that listened to last week's show that the Spitfire team was invited by American Airlines to sit down and have a conversation with their hiring team about a bunch of different things. And the whole idea was to try to inform us so that we can inform you so that you can be a better prepared candidate when you go to your interview. And this conversation about logbooks, it comes directly from the words that were spoken by the hiring team at American Airlines. And I thought it was very in-depth. And this is a very in-depth thing. God bless my editing team because they're going to have to go through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of details here. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to try to get this information out because I think that it's super duper important. And as we go through this and we're having these conversations, the logbook is so important. So let's talk about the fact that the logbook is your first part of the interview with American Airlines. It's not your suit. It's not your answers. It's your logbook. And here's a mind shift that I want you to try to make. At American, your logbook is a legal document. It is actually a legal document that you sign. And so once it goes through the logbook audit, whatever comes out of the room is a decision on whether or not you're hireable. And they see the logbook, they evaluate its completeness, they decide if your numbers all make sense. And those numbers that leadership sees at the end, that's their decision. It's not what you think you have. It's not what you meant to log. It's what survives that audit. And here's the reality. The logbook team, they're reviewing roughly 40 candidates a day. And their logbook review team is small, maybe a half dozen pilots, and that's it. So anything that slows them down, it doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. And they said it flat out. They said, I quote, "I never want to have to pull out a calculator." And that should tell you everything you need to know. So let's talk about what actually counts. Simulator time does not count towards your total time. Should you log it? Fine. Don't put it in your totals. I have my simulator time in the back of my logbook in another section. That's a smart way to do it, but it just doesn't count. Rotor time, helicopter pilot time does not count towards your fixed wing totals. If you are a UAV pilot, RPA person, that time doesn't count, but they still want to see it as part of the whole picture of who you are. Are you an Osprey pilot? This one may surprise people, but the V-22 time does count towards your total time, and they don't want it broken out as helicopter time, so it's a little bit of a weird thing. That is not the same for other airlines. Some airlines accept it, some airlines don't accept it. You need to know where you are and where you stand. Student time, UPT time, totally acceptable as long as it's clearly separated out, and the fastest way to get into trouble is bad totals. So if you've got sim time mixed in with your total time, you're creating work. If you've got helicopter time that's buried inside your total time, you're creating work. If someone's starting to add up your individual aircraft time to figure out what you flew and how you flew it, you're creating work. And when people are under time pressure and they start looking harder, that's when the questions pop up. And that's not a good place to be. So let's talk a little bit about what they love. They love a simple one-page cover sheet at the front, something that says, here's how my logbook works. Here are the totals. Here's where anything is changed. Here's where there are inconsistencies in adding. Here's why they're inconsistent. Here's where I went from paper to electronic. They love tabbed check rides. They love endorsements that are easy to find. They love page totals that carry forward like a normal paper logbook. They love signatures at the bottom of every single page. And if you're military, this is big. Do not break down your green or brown folders. Leave your folders exactly as they came. Leave them chronological, leave them original. That's what they're used to. Well, let's talk about some stuff that raises eyebrows. Loose papers, single line entries for a large number of hours instead of individual flights, missing end numbers, logbooks that look too perfect as if they're too good to be true, missing signatures on original pages, duplicate pages, overlapping time with no explanation. Here's a big one. When your flight time doesn't line up with your job history, that is a really big one. They're looking at both this at the same time. If you are somewhere for 3 months and you logged a bunch of time and then suddenly disappeared to another company with no explanation, it starts to get noticed. And that's when failures come into play, right? So let me be really clear. Failures are not a deal breaker at American Airlines. Late disclosure is, though. They're going to find it. They're going to look at the FAA 6149s. They're going to see it in your Form 8s. They're going to cross-check your application against your records, and they want ownership. What happened? What you learned? What changed? A busted check ride 10 years ago is not a big deal. You trying to hide it, though? Now that's a big deal. Same for military pilots, right? Q3s, stage checks, training hiccups. They're not fatal, but your explanation on the application better match what's in that official record word for word. Don't try to hide it. Give them more than they've asked for. And one more thing that I really loved hearing from them is that your original logbooks, they don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be beautiful. They're a living, breathing document, right? There's going to be some wear and tear. There's going to be some things that are hard to figure out. There's going to be some errors here and there. That's normal. In fact, it really looks unrealistic if everything is absolutely stunningly perfect. Maybe you are. Maybe you're so OCD that everything is so perfect, and that's amazing. But make sure that it's real, because that's when the questions start. Hey, pilot, did you just get a new conditional job offer? Are you getting out of the military and you're going to move your family across the country? Did you decide to finally stop commuting and move in base? Or maybe you decided it's just time to look for a second home? Well, before you do, listen to this. Trident Home Loans is an organization that's run by pilots. They understand pilot pay, they understand union contracts, they understand the military, and they have the best VA loan rates in the nation. Marty and his team have been doing mortgages for years. Heck, they've been doing my mortgages for years. I trust him and his team more than any other organization, and I challenge you to get a better deal anywhere else. Go ahead, get a mortgage quote anywhere. Then reach out to Marty and his team. They'll walk you through the process and show you how competitive their rates really are. So go right now to TridentHomeLoans.com and check them out. Tell them Nick sent you. Do make sure that even though it can be a little dirty, a little, pages wrinkled or things that are difficult to read, break that out. Make sure that they know that hey, this is my logbook. This is where you might have a question. This is what the answer really is. Just make sure all the pages are signed. Make sure everything adds up. Make sure the important stuff is tabbed. Make it easy for them to understand. Now, what if you lost your logbook? I have had that happen to some of my clients. They have lost their logbooks and they've still gotten hired at major airlines. So first off, I don't want you to panic, but I also don't want you to wait. You're going to need to request a certified copy of your airman records from the FAA, and that's got all your official flight time, your certificates, like everything you need for the verification, but you have to submit the request, and it is a written request. So you submit the request to the Airman Certification Branch, and it usually takes 4 to 6, sometimes 8 weeks just to process, not to send you back, just to process. Sometimes it takes even longer, depending on what the workload is. Maybe there's a government shutdown, not like that would ever happen, but the key here is to do this well in advance of any interview, because if you are trying to get there and you are trying to create this document and you're going to apply, that means I'm ready to interview. So if you need to get your documents in order, make sure that you do request the information early on. Make sure you request a certified copy. I had a really great conversation with a gentleman who just interviewed this week at American Airlines, and he had some errors in his flight time that he had annotated. And then the night before the interview, he's in the hotel room and he's reading through all the different things, and it said something about a certified this and that for flight time. And so what he did is he called up a mobile notary, and he had the mobile notary at 10 o'clock at night come out and notarize his documents that show where his errors were, what his total time was, and like his cover sheets, just to be extra sure. Now, I don't know if you need to do that, but he went the extra mile. I mean, he probably paid $100 for that. Some person to come out to your hotel room, middle of Fort Worth. But he tried to make sure that it was all together so that he didn't leave anything to chance. So make sure you read the documents that they're sending you. Make sure you're diving deep ahead of time. Here's the big takeaway, though. American is not looking for perfect logbooks. They're looking for honest, clear, professional pilots. Your logbook sets the tone before you even walk into the interview room. If your logbook creates friction, they start asking why. If your logbook creates clarity, they start asking when. And most of all, if you have a question, make sure you reach out to that hiring team before the interview. Clear up your questions so that everyone's on the same page. I even like to print out any email correspondence that I have with the interview team beforehand. I bring it with me to the interview, keep it in my folder just in case they bring it up. It makes it easy for them to trust you. You can tell them, hey, that's a great point, and I actually reached out to the interview team, and this is how they responded, and so these are the documents that I've brought. And so that's how you negotiate and navigate the world of logbooks. I could probably do 10 shows about logbooks. There's so much. I don't pretend to be the expert, but you have to really get precise. Make sure that you're logging the flight time daily, every single flight. Start putting it in. If you don't have it in daily already, you need to go back and figure out how you're gonna straighten yourself out. The attention to detail early on in your flying career really pays off in the long run when you have 1,500 hours, 2,000 hours, 5,000, 10,000 hours. Keep track of that. Be honest about it, and you will succeed. So this is the end of this conversation about logbooks. However, I am going to do 1, maybe 2 more solo shows about the conversations that I had with the American Airlines team because I thought it was so good. Shout out to Dina and all of the people at American that provided this information. Very thankful for y'all, and hope to see you guys at Fort Worth real soon. Anyway, go take the rest of the day off, y'all. Have a great day. We'll see you on Monday. All right, pilots, that's the episode. I hope you've really enjoyed it. But before you go, do me a quick favor, subscribe to my show, and leave me a review. Give me a 1-star review if it was totally worthless. Give me a 5-star review if it was the most amazing thing you've ever heard. I want to hear from you. So if you can give me a review, subscribe to the podcast, make yourself a little bit better, I will be happy. You'll be happy. We'll keep crushing. I cannot wait to see you on the next episode.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute professional advice. The producers and sponsors make no representations or warranties regarding the accuracy, completeness, or applicability of the content.